Are each of you ready for a political revolution? Okay, the thing we want to talk about is that Senator Sanders has stood up for all of us for longer than most of us have been alive. Let's give him a hand for that personally, right? He stood up in 1960 by chaining himself to a car to protest housing desegregation in Chicago. Segregation in Chicago, right? That's intense. That's so far ahead of the curve. That's 4 years before the Civil Rights Bill got passed. In 1985 through the late 80s, when he was mayor of Burlington, Vermont, he was way out in front of LGBT issues as the mayor of Vermont. But it wasn't a popular issue at all. He stood up for the rights of people who didn't have someone to stand up for them. And then again, in 1993 and 94, he spoke to an empty house floor. Imagine a room that's twice as big as this amphitheater, and no one bothered to show up. And he spoke with an equal amount of passion to an empty house chamber against mass incarceration and the dangers thereof. He stood up in 93 and 94. He stood up in 1999 when he said repealing Glass-Steagall would lead to an economic crisis. And again, a man with judgment and vision stood up, and he was right. And then in 2002, he stood up and said the Iraq War is a dangerous thing. That the Iraq War will lead to destabilization in the Middle East. And again, he was a decade ahead of the times. Yes. And he was right. And then this year in 2016, he is standing up for each and every one of us because of the rising income inequality, because of everything that we all can feel and see and experience on a day-to-day basis in our lives, in our neighborhoods. And so what we're going to ask you to do right now, some of you, not all of you have to do this, but some of you, is stand up just like Senator Sanders stood up. And so, if you're interested in phone banking, voter registration, or the delegate process, stand up right now. This is amazing. Hang on. This is the most number of people that has ever stood up at a barnstorm in Los Angeles. Thank you. So thank you very much. Give yourselves a hand, because you are each individually the political revolution. So, to reiterate, right now, if you want a phone bank, go there. If you want a voter register, go there.
Guys, listen, this is the important part. Well, one of many.
Phone bank there, voter registration there, delegate candidates and delegate elections there. Go.
Housing over here. If you have, if you're willing to help with housing.
If you want to host someone to house them when they are a staffer or a volunteer when they arrive in the state, come back here behind the stage. This is a very simple process.
If anyone is looking to give their digital media,
Delegate,
information to me,
phone bank, voter registration, delegate, phone bank. I've got one question for you first, which is, are each of you ready for a political revolution?